Good morning. I am pleased to report that we do have sun in Omaha. So for those of you that are from here or around here, you know this is a relatively rare occasion, so I hope you get a chance to get out and enjoy it today. As said, my name is Holly Ann Harris. I am Associate Dean for Natural Sciences, but I've also been involved in freshman advising for longer than most of you have been alive. So I kind of consider myself an expert, but that doesn't mean that I know everything. And for that reason, I have with me in the back my colleague, Associate Director of Outreach, Amanda McHenry. And during my presentation today, I'm going to be talking to you a little bit about what to expect in the next 24 hours as it goes with academics in terms of talking with your advisor, meeting with your advisor, making a plan, and actually registering tomorrow. If at any time during my presentation you have questions, you can feel free to interrupt me. That's perfectly fine. Or if you would rather, you can send a text to Amanda, and she will make sure she can answer some of those questions on the fly, and some of them she might hold on to so that during our question and answer period, everybody can learn from your questions. All right? Deal? Everybody got that number down somehow? Great. Okay, so what's going to happen in the next 24 hours? What'd you come for summer preview? Registration. Good answer. You guys are going to be doing a lot of really fun things. You're going to be learning a lot about what it's like to be a student here at Creighton, have an overnight, meet some of the upperclassmen, meet some of your new colleagues. But in my humble opinion, the most important thing that you're going to do is you're actually going to meet with your advisor and talk about what you're going to take in your freshman year, and then actually register for classes tomorrow. Right? So our advising program at Creighton is called the Ratio Studiorum program. RSP is the acronym. That's what you'll always hear it by. If you forget what it stands for, that's okay. Just remember, RSP is your advisor. The RSP program for freshmen has two purposes. The first purpose is to join a small group of students with a faculty member who serves as those students' academic advisor until they declare a major. At Creighton, we have all first semester freshmen are technically undeclared. You may be pretty certain that you want to be a political science major or a studio art major or even a biology major. But technically, at this point in time, you are undeclared, and we don't allow students to declare their major for most majors, until after the first year. There's a few majors that you can declare in the second semester, but for the most part, you will remain undeclared for your full first year and be working with your RSP advisor. And the second function of the RSP program in the freshman year is that the RSP advisor serves as the instructor in a one-credit course called Introduction to the Culture of Collegiate Life. What that does is there's all sorts of activities that go along with the RSP 101 class that is about exploring different majors, exploring extracurricular, co-curricular opportunities at Creighton, just many aspects of the academics, doing a four-year plan, looking at opportunities for study abroad, for internships, for research, just a whole host of things that are going to be related to your academic career. That is, as I said, it's a 1 credit hour course. It's strung over the whole year, so you have a half a credit in the fall semester and a half a credit in the spring semester. It makes registration a little tricky, but that's okay. So you're going to meet your advisor today, most of you. Not all of our faculty are available during the summer. We do have many faculty traveling on study abroad trips or doing their scholarly activities somewhere other than in Omaha. But most of the faculty are here. So if your advisor is present, you will meet with your advisor. If your advisor is not here, you will meet with somebody else, and then you'll meet your advisor in September. But all of the people that you meet with are going to be fully trained to be able to help you decide what you're going to take in the first semester. So when you meet with that advisor, what are you going to talk to him about?
Classes you want to take.
What classes you want to take, right? How are you going to figure out what classes you want to take? What does that advisor have to know in order to help you determine what classes you want to take?
What you like.
What you like. What are your academic interests? What do you think you want to major in if you have an idea of a major? Are you planning pre-professional studies? Is your goal to be a lawyer, a dentist, a secondary ed teacher certified in Spanish and history? That's a real goal, by the way. It's a good goal. What else does your advisor need to know about you to help you choose the right courses? Because make no mistakes, you get to choose. We'll give you suggestions, but you get to choose. So what else do we need to know to allow you to make good choices?
Classes you've already taken.
Particularly AP. If you're coming in with AP or IB credit or dual credit, so that dual credit is any college level course that you've taken in high school that you're going to get college credit for. We don't want you to repeat things if you don't have to, right? So we want to know about those. What did you like to study in high school? That's a pretty important question. Equally important is, what did you not like? I can tell you what I didn't like. I hated biology. I hated biology. Sorry, don't want to offend anybody, but I said, I am never taking another biology class in my life. And I'm a scientist. So anyway, those are important questions. Other things that might take up time. Are you a student athlete? Do you have a heavy service commitment? Or are you going to be working part-time? You really want to get involved in a lot of things like student government or fraternities and sororities, all good things, but they take up time. Then the other thing, as we walk through this presentation a little bit, I'm trying to key you in on some things that might be different than what you're used to from high school. One of the differences at college, you only register for one semester at a time. So you're only committing yourself from August to December. In November, we get to do this all again for the spring semester. But for now, all you're committing yourself to is December or August to December. And that's important when we talk about your actual schedule. All right, so how many classes are you going to take? I'm going to walk over to this side. How many classes did you take in high school? 6? I heard a 7 over there. Some people took 8, right? A wide variety. How many classes are you going to take in college? 5? 5 is a good average. It depends on the class. So what we do at Creighton, and this is true of any university that is accredited and is on the semester system, we count your load by what's called credit hours. In order to graduate, you need to amass 128 credit hours. You'll learn that number very well in RSP. So if you want to graduate in 4 years and you're not going to bring in any credit, you need to average 16 credit hours a semester. Right. What's a credit hour? Does that mean 16 courses? Most Most standard lecture courses are 3 credit hours. The reason is a credit hour actually has a federally mandated definition. It gets tied to federal financial aid and all sorts of things. A credit hour, there are 2 ways to measure it. One is in the old-fashioned way before there were online courses. A credit hour is measured in seat time, and then there's how much time you actually spend in class. So a traditional lecture class, like your history class or your theology class, is a 3 credit hour course. That means that you're going to spend 50 minutes per week per credit hour in lecture. So a 3 credit hour class, you have 150 minutes of class time. At Creighton, we usually divide that up into either 3 50-minute chunks or 2 75-minute chunks. Right? The other way, and I think the more important way, the more realistic way to think about the credit hour is that it is actually a measure of the amount of work that's going to be expected from you. And this is actually how Creighton defines it in our catalog, is that the amount of work that's expected for 1 credit hour is 3 to 4 hours of student effort per week. Okay? So that 3 credit hour lecture for which you're spending 150 minutes in class expects you to spend 2 to 3 more hours times 3, so 6 to 9 hours of work outside of class studying, reading, preparing for the lecture, preparing any discussion questions. I'm a chemist, so I give a lot of chemistry homework problems that you're going to be working, writing papers, doing projects, right? So that 15 to 17 credit hours translates to about 45 on the very low end to 68 hours of work on average per week, right? That's more than a full-time job. Even on the low end, that's more than a full-time job. So you want to keep that in mind both as you're registering and as you're thinking about your other time commitments of how you're going to balance your time and do time management, right? Questions? Make sense? So not telling you anything you didn't already know, maybe? Okay. All right. So now we've gotten to what you're going to talk to your advisor about how many classes you're going to take. Now it's the nitty-gritty which classes. Right. Creighton has, as most universities have, a set of requirements that all students complete. We call our set of requirements the Magis Core. So hopefully in your first year, you're going to be taking a lot of courses that fulfill Magis Core requirements. Our Magis Core is tiered. There are 4 levels to it. In your freshman year, you're going to be concentrating on the foundations level and maybe a little bit at the explorations level. You can read more about the Magis Core at www.creighton.edu, Academics Magis Core Curriculum. Your advisor will also talk to you about it and give you a Magis Core checklist today. Right? Exploring possible majors. Now, I know that you said, or many of you think you know what you want to major in, but I just want to point out, if I can get to it, that at Creighton, we offer 60 different majors. So one of the things you're going to be doing this year is exploring, and what I'm showing here, starting in those blue, these are hot links to all of the descriptions of the 60 majors. And this is at catalog.creighton.edu/undergraduate/arts and sciences majors. But you can see all of the possible majors. So it's a really good idea for you to look through some of these before you make your decision. Okay, so you want to explore possible majors, and then, of course, courses for any pre-professional. If you are thinking about pursuing a professional program after Creighton, after your undergraduate program, so law school, medical school, etc., you will be taking courses for that as well. So here's the core checklist that you're going to get. We won't spend too much time on it in here, but the foundations level is up there at the top. You can see courses that you might be taking in your freshman year. Contemporary composition. Anybody have any ideas what contemporary composition might be? College level writing, right? That may be something that you might be getting AP credit for or bringing in dual credit. You want to make sure you tell your advisor about that. Over on your right-hand side, my left, the math reasoning. What do you think that is? Math. We have many different, so these are what we call categories or components. Within each component, you'll have a lot of choices of which course to take. So in the contemporary compositions, there's a lot of different, writing about X, writing about Y you can choose to take. In the math reasoning, we have 3 or 4 different options of the kinds of math courses that you might want to take to fulfill that requirement. Philosophical ideas, several different versions of philosophical ideas. One that's very popular is philosophy and law. Then there's general introduction to philosophy. There's ancient philosophy, and there's philosophy of science. Christian tradition is your standard intro to Christian theology. Right now, we're only offering 2 versions of that. There's kind of a standard overview of Christian theology, and then there's a Christian theology global vision. So if you're interested in Christianity worldwide and how it looks different by different cultures, I would say take the global visions course. So all of those 4 components are fairly straightforward. Anybody got any ideas going back to the left-hand category? Well, before we do that, explorations, that's the second tier. Those are more similar to your general gen ed courses, history, literature, introduction to natural sciences, introduction to social sciences, sort of thing. Those courses, you might take some of those in your freshman year and some of those in your sophomore year. Understanding social science, understanding natural science are very common freshman level courses. Foreign language, particularly if you want to continue with a foreign language or possibly major or minor in it, you certainly want to take that in your freshman year. And fine arts. Our ethics, history, literature, and biblical traditions all have prereqs, so those generally don't get taken in the freshman year. All right. So now getting back to the foundations level. What's critical issues? Okay. So critical issues in human inquiry is a component that kind of gets at the heart of what we think of as a Catholic Jesuit education, of things that really grappling with a question of importance to the human condition. It can be taught in a number of disciplines, so that's why it's called a multidisciplinary component. So there are courses from communication studies, there are courses from theology, there are courses from history, from English, from fine and performing arts, all across the university. Again, you only have to take one, but this component has the most choice in it, so you really want to look for courses that you might be interested in. If you don't find anyone this semester, there'll be a whole another set of them offered in second semester, so you don't have to take it in your first semester, you can take it in the spring semester. All of the courses emphasize critical and creative thinking, written and oral communication, engagement with diversity and issues of social justice. Right? And I want to emphasize the oral communication part. Our oral communication speech requirement is tied to your critical issues class. So every critical issues class will have a co-requisite of Communications 101, which is a 1-credit online course that gives you an introduction to the various modes of public speaking. And it's still taught, even though it's online, it's still taught in small groups. So you will be able to interact with the other people that are in your group, interact with the faculty member. You'll prepare practice speeches that you will give recorded, turn in as recorded speeches, get feedback on them. But the ultimate speeches that you give will actually be live in your critical issues class. Does that make sense, how these two are connected? I have somebody nodding, thank you. Okay, just some examples, just to give you an idea of some of the examples. I just picked out some random ones that are being offered in the fall semester. Cities and People, Urban History and Social Justice. That is, how cities grow and the choices that they make in developing cities has an impact on the people that live there. Health, Communication and Media. How we receive our health information has a big effect on how effective healthcare is. Talk to Me, TED, Leadership, Social Media, and Communication. There are several different courses in the critical issues component that deal with social media. It's a huge topic in terms of social justice right now. A more traditional class, English 178, hero literature, how heroes are portrayed in literature throughout different times and how that then affects the communities that are taking in that literature. And Sociology and Social Problems. Again, a very straightforward introduction to social issues. There are a couple of specialty critical issues classes that I want to put on your radar. Most majors, their introductory level class or the entry level class for a major will have some core component. It will also qualify for a course. So you can be exploring a major and fulfilling a core requirement at the same time. Usually that's pretty obvious, like general biology is also an understanding natural science course. Intro to psychology is an understanding social science course. So they're usually pretty clear which ones are which. But with these critical issues classes, it's not always clear. So education, the entry-level course in education, so if you're interested in being an elementary ed major or getting certified in secondary ed, you need to make sure that your critical issues class is Education 170, because you'll have to take Education 170 anyway. You might as well take it as your critical issues class. Same thing with social work. If you're interested in social work as a possible major or profession, Social Work 261 also counts as critical issues and is required for the social work major. So there's just a couple things to kind of stick in the back of your head if you're interested in those areas. Also, if you are ROTC has a special sequence of critical issues. It's actually a 2-semester sequence, so it's a little bit more, but you also get a lot more military science credit as well. So just again, keep that in mind. If you are ROTC, you'll get your critical issues through military science. Okay, I already showed you the catalog where the descriptions of all of the majors are. It's a really good idea for you if you are considering a major to go to catalog.creighton.edu and look at some of the majors that you are interested in. I just have one up here just for as an example what you will see if you clicked on one of those hot links. This is computer science digital development track. So you can see, and I didn't drop the whole thing, just at the beginning The entry-level course for computer science is Computer Science 121. That also happens to be an Understanding Natural Science course. So you would, if you were exploring computer science as a major, you would also get your natural science credit by taking CSC 121. Also, just looking at the requirements for majors gives you an idea of what you're drawn to. If you start reading titles of classes and go, wow, that sounds really interesting, you can also click on any of these titles of classes and it takes you to the full course description. But if you start reading, oh, that sounds really interesting, that's probably a good sign that that might be a potential major for you. If you're reading through the list of courses and you're going, oh, that doesn't sound like, I'm not sure I really, want to do introduction to programming. That doesn't quite trip my trigger. Well, that's probably a good sign that that's not a good major for you. All right, so just spending a few minutes perusing the catalog is a good choice. All right, so back to practicalities. What are you going to do today? Today, you are going to meet with your advisor and you're going to make a plan. So number one is you're going to talk to your advisor. And then you're going to pick out specific courses. Your advisor is going to give you a list of components that you should look at. Then after you've spent about 20 minutes or so with your advisor, you're going to go to another room and meet with a whole bunch of other people and actually work on making a plan, picking specific courses and actual sections of courses. So you're also going to get options and alternatives. You're going to be all ready to register. So what you're going to get from your advisor today, you will get, I think the color is yellow, a yellow piece of paper that has your actual registration information on it, what time, what your registration PIN is. You're going to get that MagisCore checklist that we looked at. And then you're also going to get a schedule planner. And this is how Creighton schedules courses. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. We do a block schedule. So there's an 8 to 9:30, 8 to 9:15, 9:30 to 10:45, 11 to 12:15, etc. So we schedule in, they're 90-minute blocks, and within that 90-minute block, you can have 75-minute classes 2 days a week, or 50-minute classes 3 days a week on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. You can have evening classes that can be the 75-minute twice a week, or they can be 150-minute all the time. You'll have labs scheduled in there. But this will allow you to actually plot out when your classes are. So when you're in the schedule building room, building a schedule, there's a couple things that you want to keep in mind. The most important thing is there is no such thing as a perfect schedule. You will probably always have to make a few compromises, one way or the other, right? You want to try to be flexible. How many of you are morning people? Yeah, right. So you're best in the morning first thing. You want to be looking for those 8 o'clock and 9:30 classes, right? So what happens when all of a sudden you've heard the professor you have to take, the absolute best philosophy professor, is only teaching at 2 in the afternoon?
Flexible.
You're going to be flexible. You're going to take that 2 in the afternoon class if it's open because you really want that best philosophy professor, right? Because remember, what else?
There's no such thing as a perfect schedule.
There's no such thing as a perfect schedule, and you're only committing yourself for 4 months. For those of you that are not morning people, you might have to take an 8 o'clock class, but it's only for 4 months. You can do it. I know you can. Right? So 8 o'clock classes, 3:30 classes can be a good thing. You also want, and this also gets to another big difference between high school and college. In high school, most of you, and I realize not everybody is exactly the same, but most high schools, they go straight, 8, 9, 10. You go back to back to back classes, right? In college, you might have big chunks of time in between your classes. And that can be a good thing because that gives you the time to start. Maybe you're going to go review the notes that you just took from that class. Make sure you understood it. Oh God, Harris just did a really, really difficult chemistry problem. I'm going to have to go, I want to rewrite it so I understand every step. Right? So you can use those times in between classes to review what you just did or do that last minute reading, make sure you're prepared for whatever discussion is going to happen in your next class. So what I've got here, I've got 2 examples of schedules. These are actual schedules. They are unfortunately 2 years old because I didn't update them this year. Sorry about that, but schedules don't change all that much. These are from 2 of my actual advisees. This student was pre-law, still is pre-law, and now is a declared, but she came in thinking she wanted to be a political science major, possibly studying for, preparing for law school. So, and she was not a morning person. She was not a morning person. She wanted the afternoon, late afternoon classes. So she took Spanish because she wanted to, Spanish 112 is the course that you have to fulfill to get your foreign language requirement taken care of. She did not want to continue in Spanish. She just wanted to get the requirement done. So she wanted to take Spanish her first semester so she didn't forget any of it, just get the requirement out of the way. So she's got Spanish on there. She took theology at night because she'd heard something about, but it's a twice a week night class because she'd heard something about the professor, so that was fine. But the 2 most important classes that she wanted to take, both were in the morning. Political Science 121, there were other options, but that section happened to be taught by the pre-law advisor. So a reason to take that class. And then Philosophy 111, as I told you, was the Philosophy and Law class. So, but you see the chunks of time that are there in the middle of the day for that? So that's going to be one of the big learning curves for students, is how to use those chunks of time to great advantage. How are you gonna prepare for that? Oh, and then she's got composition in there as well, English 150. I don't know why she took it at that time. Go back to that. So this is 16 and a half credits. There's actually 5 classes here. Well, political science, philosophy, English, theology, and Spanish. There's also an online language lab. So I wrote that down on the bottom. So 16 and a half credits. All of them fulfill a core requirement, but 2 of them also were potential majors. She wasn't, she really liked philosophy too. So that's a kind of an idea of what a schedule can do in combining Magis core. So another student, this student was pre-dent, preparing possibly for dental school. So this looks very different. This looks a lot busier. But that's because they've got the labs, the chemistry and the biology labs that are actually 3-hour labs. So they're on Thursday where you see Bio 205. That actually goes for 3 hours. It goes right up to the sociology class. And then the chem lab is at night, 5 to 8. Nights are great times to take labs because it's a 3-hour chunk of time. You're active. You're not going to fall asleep because you're going to be active in lab. But it gets it out of the day, so you have more time during the day to do stuff. It makes it also easier to schedule, right? But so she's got philosophy 118. That's the ancient philosophy, biology, chemistry, and sociology. So so she only has 4 classes, 15 and a half credits, but 3 of the classes have labs. The SOC 170 that's a critical issue, so it has the COM 101 online, plus the bio and the chem labs, right? So again, just a different way of scheduling. They're going to train you, they're going to teach you how to schedule, so I'm going to skip all of this stuff. I do want to stop here at this. When you search the actual schedule of courses, like looking at not the catalog, but the schedule, when you see when classes are offered and the specific times, the instructors. So this was somebody was searching by the math reasoning component, right? So you see the subject, the course, the section, the credit hours. Math is a variable credit hour component, so you've got some 2 credit, 3 credit, even 4 credit courses. The days that it meets, what's R? Thursday. So when you see days TR, that means it meets Tuesday and Thursday. Then the time 2 to 2:50, and then there's an instructor over there if you know a particular instructor. The most important piece of information that you want to write down on your schedule, besides the actual course and the time, is what's listed there in blue, the CRN, or the course reference number. The CRN is how the computer understands your schedule. You're looking at Math 205C, Monday, Wednesday at 2. The computer is going to translate that as 72042. That 5-digit number contains all of the information that you care about, but in a 5-digit number. So when you're making your schedule, you want to record those CRNs, because that's how you're actually going to register with the CRNs, not with the courses. Right. So as I said, you're going to use a day planner, map schedule out, record the CRNs on your schedule, and then make a list of alternatives in case one or more of the classes that you want to take are closed. Registration, again, we're going to teach you all how to do that tomorrow when you actually come in to register, but there are some tutorials on the registrar's website if you just want to kind of look. What you need to register tomorrow is your NetID, your blue password, hopefully everybody knows that, your registration time and PIN, and that's what you'll get from your advisor today on the yellow sheet. And we're not going through it. The first page on the registration website looks like this. It's hard to see, but at the very bottom, there's something called the class shopping cart. Can you see that? There's a bunch of boxes in a row, and you enter your CRNs in those boxes. That's how you register. Then you hit click to submit, register, submit. So if you know all of your CRNs and you've checked that all of your classes are open, all of the sections that you want are open, you put your CRNs in, register. It takes a minute. We're going to go over that. 3 things that I want to alert you to when you're looking at the schedule of courses. There are 3 things you need to be aware of. If a course has what's called a prerequisite, okay, a prerequisite is a different course or skill that you need to demonstrate before you can register for the course you're trying to register for. So, for example, would there be a prerequisite to a 300 level Spanish class? Probably, right? You probably want to be able to demonstrate that you have the language skills necessary to take a 300 level, and that's usually demonstrated by a 200 level Spanish class. That would be, or testing into it. So if you've taken the language placement test, and you tested into Spanish 225, that means the computer thinks that you will have already fulfilled the 100 level requirements. Other courses that have prerequisites, like I said, most language courses except the very beginning, and many of the science classes, particularly chemistry, is a very lockstep curriculum So you have to have mastered the previous to move on forward. Similarly with math, many of the math courses have prerequisites. We don't always know if you have or we do. The computer doesn't always know that you've had the prerequisites. So if you can demonstrate to us humans, we can override those. So tomorrow, if there's a reason, for example, your language placement test hasn't gotten into the system yet, or obviously your math AP, let's say you're trying to take Calc 2, and you know that you have Calc 1 and we just haven't gotten it into the system yet, we can override that. So prereqs you can override. Co-requisites, so prerequisite, pre being before, co-requisite is a course that you need to take at the same time that you're taking a course. Examples of these are the critical issues with COM 101. Right? They have to be taken at the same time. Science lecture and lab courses often are co-requisite, chemistry, general chemistry 1 and general chemistry lab, etc. In order for the computer to know that you are taking the co-requisites, you have to enter the CRNs at the same time. So remember that shopping cart with the multiple boxes? You need to enter the CRNs in the shopping cart in the same time. So this is an example of general chemistry and general chemistry lab. You put the two CRNs in two different boxes and then hit register submit. The computer sees both of them and goes, oh yeah, that person has the co-requisite. One other, and I don't have an overhead for, is instructor consent. Instructor consent is common in audition courses, dance, any of the ensembles, the music ensembles. There are also some instructor consent courses in the sciences and any research or independent study courses. So you actually do need to have the instructor consent. We'll talk a little bit more about that at your advising appointment if you are interested in registering for the ensembles. The good news is we don't have to get those registered today. If we can't get the instructor consent, you can add them in August when you come back for Welcome Week. Which brings me to my last slide about registration and how this works. So you will get a registration time when you have your advising appointment. Let's say your registration time, and I didn't update this slide from preview 1. Let's say your registration time is at 12:30 p.m. June 7th. That would be tomorrow at 12:30. Your registration PIN, that personal identification number, will be active until 12:30 Saturday, 6/8. And then it will be deactivated because we've got 2 more summer previews and an online registration for students that aren't coming to summer preview. So your PIN gets turned off. You have 24 hours to get your initial schedule in, and then you can't access the system until July 8th. July 8th, the system will open back up for everybody. So all freshmen have had a first opportunity to register. So then July 8th, everybody goes back. You can change your schedule if you need to. You can add or drop all the way up until, you can add until Tuesday, August 27th. Anybody know offhand when the first day of classes are? Which is a Wednesday. Wednesday, August 21st is the first day of class. So this is telling you you can add a week into the semester. So you get a chance to try out a little bit. Maybe you're not in the right level of Spanish, or maybe that critical issues course wasn't exactly what you thought it was going to be. So you're going to drop that and add something else, right? So you have a week to drop add. You have a couple of extra days to drop. So that gives you a sense of, maybe that 17 and a half credits was just a little too much, and you might want to just drop, one of your 2 credit math class or something. right? So that's the basic calendar. Questions? No, really, I'm done. Amanda, any questions for?
I haven't received any questions in our inbox, but if you want to go, could you maybe go back to that slide so people can see the number if they can want to send any in that way? Or you can raise your hand,
Yes.
real old school.
That was probably an easier way to go, but. Oh, there we go. I know that I am not that clear. No questions about AP?
Yeah, do you guys, so for the AP classes, sorry.
No, it's good.
So for like AP classes, do we, like, are we supposed to know like what ones have credit, what don't, or is that like on a transcript?
So on the admissions website, I should have pulled that one up too, but there's on the admissions website, there's a very clear table for the AP test, what score you needed to get, and then what you'll get credit for. If you took the AP in your junior year, you know your scores. For the AP test that you're taking this year, when are you going to get your scores? July. When are you registering? Tomorrow. Right? So, what are you going to do? So what we recommend is that you don't register for courses that you might have gotten credit for, right? And if your AP tests don't come out the way you want them to come out, then you can take the class in the spring semester, because again, you're only registering for one semester. So you really do want to try to avoid classes that you might have gotten AP credit for. The one caveat to that, and that's why it's a good idea for you to look at the table on the admissions website, because we do not, I have to say this correctly, we give credit for AP Bio and Chem, but it is only credit. It is not, you do not test out of general chemistry or general biology. So if you think you might have done really well on the AP Chem or the AP Bio tests, you still want to register for general chemistry or general biology. So you'll get the credit, but you get it for a generic bio. It's Bio 199 or Chem 199. So you still get to take chemistry here. Why are we mean? Not us, but yeah. So a lot of students come to Creighton, probably many of you in this room, might be having some goals of going to medical school or dental school. Medical schools and dental schools do not accept AP credit. Right? They want you to take the courses that they require, which includes Gen Chem and Gen Bio, at university with other university courses, right? So we'll give you credit, just generic bio or chem credit, but because so many of our students are pre-health, it's better to just, if you're pre-health or not, you're just going to take our chemistry and our biology. And I tell students the AP is not a waste of time, because you've probably had a really good background, so you'll get an A, hopefully. You still have to work for it, but you'll have a really strong background in order to take the chemistry and the bio here. Does that make sense? But to your point, though, the other, for psychology and political science are the other two, where we actually do give the actual course, PLS 121 or Psych 201. But if you are thinking of majoring in political science or psychology, the psych departments and the political science departments want you to take the course here. So then we do some machinations. So again, you get the credit, but you don't get the exact course. Because The survey courses can vary, and if you take our survey course, then they know that for going forward, they know that you've had the material that they expect you to have had from it. So it does work a little bit that way, about just that we know what you've had then. So make sure you look at the AP guidelines, but for the most part, you can go ahead and register, because if you think you're going to major in that area, we want you to take the intro course here. No other questions? All right, well, I will see most of you in the advising area in an hour or so, or sometime this afternoon. Have a great time, enjoy your day.